You. Peace to the people. Peace to the people in the chat. Peace to everybody that joined in, that wanted to join in. Peace, peace, peace. Peace to the fam. Peace to the people. Peace, Pure Black. Peace, VSR. Peace, Tunji. Peace, Tony 360. Peace, peace. I'm just checking something right now, real quick, before I get this thing rolling. Let me make sure that this is working correctly before we ready to go. All right, peace, peace. Just waiting for some more people to jump in on this afternoon. You, peace, 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 everybody. Peace, peace, peace. Wam, Jesus. Peace. Just waiting for a couple more people to get in. Today's build is gonna be about Africans in the diaspora. And we always talk about the Africans in diaspora. We talk about the West African origins of the people in the Americas. And today's build is going to be about a different trade, and it's called the Indian Ocean trade. And I'm going to talk about the Zanj, and then we're going to talk about the Portuguese and India, their company, and how West Africans were there. So this video is going to be a more of a reference point for things for you guys to grab, and we going in. You know, wait for a couple more people to get in here. Wait for a couple of more people to get in here. Rob Boone, we happy do a show together. Yeah, you can jump on. Kiwa, peace to everybody in the building. Peace to everybody watching. Peace and welcome, family, and welcome. All right. I might as well begin here. So what I'm gonna do here, I want you guys to grab this and put this inside of your thing. Let me get this. So they tried to archive this. I looked at this a long time ago, but when you see it, this is from the New York Public Library. It has an extensive bibliography here with numerous sources, right? So when you see it, it's gonna say you are viewing an archive web page collected at that. Don't worry about that. Just get out of that and get straight to the information. All right. So let me hide that. Okay. So this is from the New York Public Library, the Africans in the diaspora in the Indian Ocean world. Why am I talking about the Indian Ocean world? Because we're talking about, as you'll get later on, where we'll be talking about the same people that have companies like the Dutch, like the Indian Company, etc. We'll talk about those. Those are the same people that is involved in exploration and trade all around the world, and specifically at the same time. So normally you hear about the transatlantic slave trade, and you hear about the 12 million people who come across those waters. But you also have another trade that's dealing with Africans who come from what you would call the Bantu people, um, and all through East Africa. But there's something specific about this specific trade, because these Africans, as I will begin to add on to, they actually fought the European, and they actually beat them up, and actually were rulers in multiple places through India, going all through Asia, etc. But you will see people misplace the images. And when they misplace the images, they'll place them as, oh, look, see, we was there, right? So we know we were there, but I'll just begin, right? This is going to add on to something else that I'm going to be doing as far as dealing with Africans in diaspora. I still have to do mine in the Britain, but I'm about to get to that. So there's one point that I want to read here, right? It says archaeological and genetic evidence indicate that between 40,000 and 50,000 years ago, Africans began migrating across the Middle East and South Asia in waves of humanity that populated Eurasia. Since antiquity, regular contacts may be seen between Africa and Asia, with sub-Saharan men and women appearing in the art of South and Southeast Asia. However, the historically documented dispersion of Africans in the Indian Ocean world was largely the product of migrations, voluntary and forced. Right? So this is important, this part right here, and I will be getting into that and show what these genetics are and then these artifacts to show that when you have this so-called second wave of out of Africa of Atom AMH, uh, the right standing man, you'll see them go there, right? And we can see their cultures, etc. So where I want to start is here. We're gonna start in the Persian Gulf. And let me hide this. Get out of there. All right. I'm gonna put this picture that you saw that's inside of my thing. Open. Why won't it open? That's weird. Okay. So you guys should see this picture, right? So this says sailors, 1237. If the pseudos get this picture, they will tell you, see, look, the Africans were sailing. We got the primary from 1237. Look, the Africans were sailing. Yes, they were. So this is from the author Abu Muhammad al-Qassam ibn Ali, etc. It'll go to say as early as the 5th century, Arabs brought Africans to southern Iraq to work their date plantation and salt marshes. During the late 9th century, Africans took up arms against the Abbasid slaveholders, taking over several cities. They organized their own state, which had its own standing army and even minted coins. This 1237 illustration is the work of the Iraqi illuminator, etc. So these are who these Africans are. So I just wanted to put that so people don't go crazy over that. Look, the Africans were sailing. All right, let me get out of there. So now that first sentence is right here, but there's something that I want to make put in context, right? So it says in the 5th century. So look how far we're talking about. We're talking about the 5th century. Arabs brought Africans to southern Iraq. So this is before Islam. I want to make sure I'm clear about this. This is before Islam, right? So they brought Africans to southern Iraq to work their date plantations. Oh no, not before. Pardon self. Let me get here. But not all enslaved were of African origin. Some were white, some were Georgian, some were from the Caucasus, with growth of salt mining in the area of Barasa. So this place here, Barasa, is where these Arab plantations were, right? However, the African presence increased throughout the Gold Coast and Iran and led to a series of violent rebellions, right? Now we go here. During the late 9th century, tens of thousands of enslaved Africans from the Sahel, the Horn of Africa, and other parts of East Africa, Nubians and Bantu, as well as non-African groups that were all largely employed in the salt marshes surrounding Barasa, took up arms against the Abbasid slaveholders. Their revolt was not the first. An enslaved black man, Rashad Shir Jan, the Lion of the Jan, had led a rebellion in Barasa in 694 and 695. Armed revolts continued to erupt, and the Jan rebellion was at an unprecedented scale. And part of myself about the 5th century part. Now this says this revolt was led by the free Persian Ali ibn Muhammad. The bulk of rebel soldiers were African in origin. The uprising led to the creation of a new government in southern Iraq. In defiance to the opposite caliphate, the black rebels taking over the several cities organized their own state with its own standing army and even minted coins. The rebellion turned state lasted for 14 years until the Zanj forces were overwhelmed by the Abbasid army. The Zanj's military skills and power spurred the interest of Muslim rulers who for centuries thereafter recruited Africans into their own armed forces, right? So this rebellion that happened in this century, these people of Bantu origin and other East African origins took over. And this is something that is real big at this specific time. It could be on the same scale as what you would say the people taking over the country in Haiti. It is on that scale. But you don't hear about these things. So why don't you hear about that? So very interesting. So now in this book here, which I'm about to open and show you guys here real quick, go in this book. Where am I? This is my screen. Microsoft Edge. Go here. Okay. Is this showing? My screen is blank on my side. Give me 1 second, fam. My screen is blank on my side. Okay, let's see it now. This book is called The Revolt of African Slaves in Iraq in the 3rd century and the 9th century AD. All right. So this is talking about how the riot began, the beginning of this, and it's basically real simple. I like this book because it's like straight to the point, bullet, boom, bullet, bullet, going all the way down the line. So it says there were 2 distinct periods in the Zanj Revolt. The first was the period of success and expansion. During this time, internal and external reasons prevented the central power from effectively suppressing the revolt. The second one was the slow agony before final defeat. In this period, the caliphate made crushing the rebellion its chief order of business. So this will talk about the neighboring villages and the people of Barasa, where these mines were at, and date plantations, right? And with inside of this, it's very similar to what happens in Haiti with the landowners who want to protect their land and want to protect their property and protect their crops, etc., etc. Goes on down the line. So this presentation or build is just for references purposes. I need you guys to grab this and get this. So just to talk about the first battle and the person that is named here, and this guy name is Ali B. Muhammad. He has 2 different stories about his actual genealogy. I'm not going to discuss that in totality today, but it will be up to the individual to discuss what he was. So it says the first battle, rebels headquarters was set up at Mayum Canal on the first day, breaking day. It says in the address to them, he spoke of the miserable condition and assured them that God had chosen him to be the instrument of their deliverance. He also told them he, Ali B. Muhammad, wanted to improve their lot so that one day they too might have beautiful homes, and he said slaves. So you have to look at the context and the time and what they meant by slave, because in these specific areas, a slave can actually be a part of the government and they can move up high in the ranks, but they wouldn't be working on plantations as these Arabs were doing to them by making them deal with salt mines, etc. So now, what was their life like after they took over? After they took over the actual state, you have a religious life, you have a culture. There's some discrepancy on exactly everything they were doing because the Arabs decided not to speak about it. But I want to show you this part, which is dealing with this part of Islam, which they say recognize that they did practice. Now, this part of Islam is important. Let me just put it right here. Where is it? Did I put it here? No, I didn't. But it's called, oh, here it is. Right here. So this form of Islam, right here, Qajari or Kawarij. I might pronounce it wrong. They're also called the Qajarites. Why am I pointing this out? This is what they say, that these individuals, they mixed it with a form of Shiism and this. Qajarites are people who actually were against the caliphate and wanted what you would call like a democratic rule, etc. These people are the people who brought Islam to West Africa. These are the first people who had settlements in West Africa. So when you read the West African corpus that we always speak about, they tell you that these Muslim towns were built outside of the actual place of what you would call Ghana, Kayamaga, whichever name you choose in that ancient part. These are the individuals who bought that. These individuals were not happy with the Caliph. They decided to fight them, and they ran away and basically kept their trade, and they began to trade with the empire of Ghana. So this is why I point these people out here. I need you guys look them up and see West Africa, and you can see who those people are. Okay, moving back on to my Africans in the diaspora. Let me see how y'all doing out there. Peace, peace, peace. Moving back over here. Oops, I put the wrong thing there. Let me go here. So now we're going back to my thing if it ever shows up. We're gonna run out of here. So I hope you guys get real quick on what the Zanj rebellion was and what they did. You'll also see an African presence in Iran. You'll see that comes a little later on, but I'm out of that part. I want to go here. We want to go to Southern Asia, right? Because there's some things that we want to talk about, and we want to talk about the Portuguese. So let me scroll on down here. Boom, boom, boom. So if I get here, right, just so you can see this, it said the history of India. India's Africans are called Siddhas. It is the best known in the region largely because of the documentation on those who rose to high position as military commanders. So there is a lot of information about these people. One of them was that 1236 picture, etc. So I want to go to this specific place here. This place is called Goa, right? Goa. This is in India, but let's read. Beginning in the 1510, among the key Portuguese colonial enclaves in the Indian Ocean world was Goa, located on the west coast of India. West Central Africans from Angola, Atlantic Africans from Brazil, and East Africans from Mozambique, all Portuguese colonies, formed the bulk of the African presence in Goa. So you will have to stop there and be like, wait a minute, what the hell is the Portuguese doing over there? So this place in Goa is where they had their Indian company that you would call that. And from there, that was their administration point. And one of their administration points and the stuff that they were trading were actually gold from West Africa, as well as slaves and other products that they bought there, right? Now it says, for example, on October 15, 1777, the French East Indian Company asked its brokers, the Mahami family, Gal neighbors, for 200 adult men, 100 men and 100 boys. The request was fulfilled from a recently arrived ship from Mozambique that had brought 700 Africans. About a decade later, the Mahamas were still involved in slave trading. Among the hundreds of African men they sold were 5 whose Christian names are recorded here. I don't want to butcher those names. So it says from the 16th through the 19th centuries, enslaved Africans from Goa fled for refuge to a neighboring Karnataka. But in the wake of the major uprising against British rule in India in 1857, an African named, here's a name for you, Sidia Baston. I'm going to pull him up on the screen in a minute. Let me just snag him real quick. Let a group of fellow Siddhas, remember Siddhas are referred to Africans in India, and Karnasi, indigenous Indians from Karnataka, in a sustained campaign against European forces. For almost 2 years, Maroons, under Baston's command, looted and burned British and Portuguese settlements along the border of Goa. So Maroons are not just here in the Americas, not just in, South America, not just in the Caribbean or in the United States. They are here too because these are Africans who ran away, who are what? Some are Angolan, some are from different parts of East Africa, Mozambique, etc. That is creating a whole new culture in this place of India. So let me get out of here and come back up in this point. Let me see how y'all doing. Y'all doing good? Let me see if I can pull this guy up here real quick so we can get a picture of my man. Come on, give it to me. Ah, man. Yeah, it's hard for me to grab his joint because it's showing me other things. But in any event, what I wanted to highlight here is the African presence and a different slave trade that is kind of not talked about all through Pakistan, right? Let me get here. Let me go back over here. So I'm going to show you this one more time here. And we roll up. And this thing is good because there's primary pictures here. I'm going to show them up. But see how it says Pakistan. Many of the Africans brought into the Indian subcontinent entered through the ports of Balushita and Sinda, right? So these are the two ports to look at. You'll see Africans there. You will see Africans right here in Gujarat. You'll see these Africans here, right? You'll see the oral history about them, and they tell their own story. We don't have to tell their story. I don't have to make it up or use a European to tell their story. They tell their own exact story. In every single one of these colonies, from Benegal and Deccan, every single one of these people revolted and they all took over. I repeat, every single one of these places in these areas, they revolted and they took over. I repeat, the pictures that you see of these African rulers will be these people. And this is how they became rulers from revolting against the Arab and the Indian and the wretched Portuguese. So, like, they have a company called Estra de Indios. And this is the Portuguese, Estra de Indios. That company is the company that was actually working with West Africa and they controlled that part. Then you had the West part that controlled specifically over here in the Americas. So it's all one melting pot. They all dealing with the same people, only they grabbing a lot more people from Africa, well, from East Africa. And this wound up to be 4.5 million is the estimate. So here goes some primary pictures here. So this one is from the 1800s. This is adult men were the most in demand in India. They were barbers, musicians, field laborers, water carriers, guards, soldiers, and sailors. Right? So that's that. Let me keep going through here. Hold on. You'll see more people here. This guy here, yeah, he was interesting. This was an interesting guy here. You can see that on the screen. But what is interesting is when the Portuguese came to America, we point out the conquistadors who came with them. All right? We tell you about John Portuguese, we tell you about Valentine and Sebastian and all these other individuals. Well, guess what, my friends? Those people, the Ladinos or those Africans, not those specifically, but these specific people are the people who went to these companies that was working with these companies and went over there and populated and they did what they did. Sorry, but that's just what happened. So the purpose of this bill was to speak about Africans in the diaspora just as a reference point for people to grab. Let me put this up on the screen. This is the name of this. This site is going to pop up as being archived. So don't freak out if it just shows you a snapshot. Just keep punching around and you will find it. So let me get here. I'm going to put this in the chat if anybody want to add on or come This is real quick. I just have to make sure I do this live because I wanted to get this out. Because on the 30th, I start school and I won't be able to come on regularly. So for these next 2 days, I'm gonna be going in. The next build is gonna be about the African presence in Europe, particularly Britain, etc., on the British Isles. And the next one is going to be something very interesting because I constantly hear this question in those lessons of the 5% where they ask you, why does the devil call our people Africans? And that answer causes a lot of history in that question. And I'm gonna be going through that, and I'm gonna keep going through it. Yeah, specifically pure black. I can't. My diction is off, bro. My diction is off. So, is there any questions or anything somebody want me to show about this genre rebellion or the people that it is in Gao, where I showed there? Is there anything that anybody has a question about that? No questions? I can't believe you guys ain't got no questions. Yes, Khalil. Same story, different location, same players. Same players. Portuguese and India, yo. Portuguese and India. What are they trading there? African gold and slaves. Where'd they get the gold from? They got it from Africa. Well, guess what they doing in India? They got salt mines there. Who wanted the salt? The Africans, the West Africans. Why they want the salt? For the meat. See, all of this stuff is connected, but I think that this part of the story is left out, and I don't know why. But over here at MBK, we repping all Africa, baby. Yes. It's Vasa, man. I don't know what this guy be reading, man. Yeah. Touch on the Africans on the other side of South American, Bolivian hills, mining nickel in China. I'll show you those right now. Let me see. Yeah, it's relative, but it goes it you dealing with the same players. So you asked me to do that. Let me go back to the screen. Other areas. Then I'm gonna go here. Hide this. So this is China. All right. So it says Africans traded with Chinese merchants and royal embassies during the Sung 1127, 1279, and Ming 1368 and 1644 dynasties. Very interesting that it's saying Africans traded with these people. During the early 15th century, the Admiral Sheng Ho An enslaved Muslim Chinese Eunuch. So you know what an Eunuch is. So there's some things that happened when they made these people a part of the army. They would basically lock up their manhood because they didn't want them sleeping with their wives. They was the fear of the Mandingo warrior. Anyway, the Chinese Indians led a series of 7 imperial expeditions across the Indian Ocean in 1415. His fleet brought a giraffe from Somalia, which Chinese court artists later painted in majestic fashion. Hold on. Although Chinese sailors and merchants had long made contact with these Africans, it is not known whether Africans traveled to China prior to the rise of the Portuguese. The Portuguese enlisted, put this here, the Portuguese enlisted the services of Africans as sailors over the course of 2 centuries. Some traveled as part of the cruise to China, in addition to ivory, torch seashells, rhino horn from East Africa. Some Africans were taken to China, mostly females who were made concubines. African men who served as soldiers. In 1622, they defended the Portuguese base of Malco from Dutch attacks that year, despite the seemingly overwhelming force of the 13 Dutch ships and 1,300 soldiers. Approximately 100 Africans were given arms, and along with another 100 residents, repelled the Dutch. Where's this thing about China here? I thought it was on this. Oh man, I'm gonna have to look up something and something else I read that in. So here's Japan. Africans traveled aboard Portuguese ships to Japan. Here's your peoples again, the Portuguese. Africans traveled aboard Portuguese ships to Japan. They manned 2,000-ton Carcass 3 and 4 mast ships, especially. After the Portuguese purchased maritime in 1557, the black sailors of the Indian Ocean traveled between Gao, there goes that place again, Matsu, and Nagasaki. Some of the African crewmen are depicted in Western attire and non-Bayan Bobui, Japanese painting from the period of Portuguese contact. Slave Africans were not only sailors in the case of women concubines, but served as interpreters as well. So you hear us talk about these interpreters. But how was they interpreting? Hmm. While the Mashu during the early 17th century, the English traveler Peter Mundy noted two Abyssinians, Chiniro and Antonio, both of whom had run away from the Portuguese and had since become Canatonian interpreters. These Africans, like others in the Indian Ocean world, spoke languages in addition to their own Swahili with a Bantu grammar and many Arabic words. So again, the slave interpreter cycle is they capture people from the original place where they go from, they bring them back and they teach them the language and then they use them again as interpreters. Same process, different place. So let's see these things here. Let's blow the. What is this one? No, that's Turkey. Where is the one that I saw? Nope, that's the Ottoman Empire. Where is the one that I want? The Black Sultans. Yeah, this one is cool. Let me blow this up. I was looking for the one in China. I'm gonna get it for you. But yeah, they was over there doing that. Come on, stop circling. Give me the picture. Art and Architecture Collection, Division of the Arts. So this was supposed to be a sultaness, the female. But if the pseudos get their hands on this, they're going to tell you that these are the original rulers of the land, etc., etc. Oh, look, those are Moors. Those are Moors. They got white fezzes on. Ooh, look at the talents. I think it's hanging from the side. Yeah. African and European Inuches. You see them. Slavs, Germans, Caricians from the Caucasus were acquired through wars and raids and sold into slavery in the Ottoman Empire. They were not the most numerous slaves until the development of the trade in the sub-Saharan Africans. There you have it. Let me see what else is going on here in the chat. Islam has a temple in China used for trade during these periods. Not so much religious practices, but trade. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, it's crazy, man. This stuff is nuts. So, no other questions there. This was a reference build so that you guys can have some information to go run up. If you are part of the New Black Knowledge Discord, you will be able to have that book that I put on the screen. Temple, hold on. Come on, let me get that. Pop it up. Come on, give it to me. Taking too long. Taking too long. Oh well. Any other questions there? I forget the name China have for black, but I know during this time they made a play about a black slave. Yeah, I don't remember the play. Any other questions in there? Those Africans were mining for gold, silver, and Central America. Yeah. What? So the Maroon Society's books and that? I don't think that's not this is not in there. But I think it's a part where it's the trade, and it just mentions it very briefly. But let me see real quick for you, brother Sanab. Dude, go to the library. I don't remember that. I remember them talking about some that is real. Let me see. I'm looking out for you, brother Sanab. Okay, that's not there. Let me put it here. GOA. God. Oh, not there. China. Pillage, rural state, we found also some nice buildings. Nope. Nah, Sanab, I don't see that. I don't know what part you talking about. Ah, you said I thought you said the maroon thing. Nah, they ain't in there. I knew. I was like, wait a minute, bro. Are those Africans the reason why Frank Lucas was the plug? Yeah. Klein and Ben Benson the third. Sanab, you talking about this book? Let me show. Let me make sure you talking about the same book I got. Cloud Reader. You talking about this book here, Maroon Societies, Richard? This book right here, right? Maroon Societies. Let me go back and see what you said. That's not in there. Yeah, I don't got that. I don't got that book you talking about. And I didn't see that. Oh, you had the raw title. So never sent me on a wild goose chase, bro. But yeah, man, this was just a reference point for people to look and to get. So I got a couple of books up there. So you see what those are about. You might want to grab those. And let me put this here again one more time for the link to come in the chat. If anybody want to come build and add on. Yeah, African slavery and Latin in the Caribbean. African slavery in Latin America and the Caribbean. Yeah, I ain't got that one. I ain't got that one from that. Maybe I could pull a stunt real quick. Hold on. Let me see. I'm gonna try to work with you, Seneb. Nah, we ain't doing Saint Malo yet. He ain't coming up yet. That'll be when we deal with the New Orleans, and he's before the 1811 and all that, and Charles Dessalinius and the rest of the mother brothers. Don't worry, that'll come because that's the biggest revolt supposedly in the U.S. in 1811, and we want to highlight that because that happened during the carnival, and we have the two Akan Africans who set that thing off. And Delanius was a kind of weird, not weird, but he was a slave driver. He was the one in charge of all the slaves and all that. He was running around and he heard that talk they was talking. Don't worry. We gonna get to that. I got you. I'm on point. What up, Snap?
No, what's going on? No, I was gonna say was that African slavery in Latin America book where it talked about the I think somebody had said something in the chat. It talked about Africans being imported to those Spanish colonies and to Brazil and with Portuguese and how they were mining for silver and gold in Central America. That's why you see those African Mexico, Colombia, Peru, Quinto, Suriname. So, and that book has the records. It's like a corpus, pretty much, of those records talking about the importation of Africans to these areas, and even sometimes revolts. Well, for the majority of the time, there's a lot of revolts there, and how the Portuguese or the Spanish were had with reinforcements, and how they get pretty much beat up by these maroon colonies, whether it be Macombos or Quilombos or Palmares, and they were pretty much having to go to war with these maroon encampments and these were the Africans that escaped from these mining industries. So if you got a chance, the book is in the comment section. I think I put it in it. You check it out. You get some more information on that.
Right. So they went to they went to India or in these areas I was just talking about.
No. I'm not saying that. I heard that bit. I was talking about specifically what was in the chat about Africans going to Central America too.
Yeah. We got them.
That's
Yeah,
a
because
good thing.
I didn't know what you were saying. My bad. Yeah, okay, yeah, I got that.
Yeah,
That's in the book.
I got that book. I got that book. Yeah, the one you just showed today.
Yeah, the Maroons over there. I just wanted to show that there's also West Africans by the so-called Portuguese who are brought over there, and they are actually forming Maroon societies, and
And they're
they
winning.
actually and they're winning.
They're beating
That's why
people
they
up.
That's why they didn't want to. They don't talk about the Jean rebellion, and they try to like, oh, it was just a class war. No, it wasn't. It was the black people that was popping off. But yeah, so that's really what it is. Pirates and Maroons are synonymous at that time. Yeah, the Pirates is mixed up with the Maroons. The Maroons have a weird history, bro. They have some stuff where they actually working with some of these pirates. Like since Snap asked me about that book, I'll give you one story that they tell. And it's very interesting how you're gonna see who's these individuals they're trading with. I don't know, bro. So let's check them out. Let's check them out, Vassal. Here we go. I'm just gonna put one name in there. Let me put Mr. Drake.
Yeah, you talking about the trade on the coast.
Yep.
Maroon.
So here we go right here. So let's pull them up here. So you know I already have that. So let's see. Let's go back one page. Cuban, Maroon Pirates. The most famous collaboration between Maroons and Pirates, shrouded in legend like so much else about the man, involved Sir Francis Drake. One major Panama adventurer, we are told that local Maroons served him as hunters, carpenters, masons, nurses, scouts, archers, providing him with 30 of his 48 fighting men, and in return for helping him capture nearly 30 tons of Spanish silver and as much as gold as each man could carry. Drake gave the Maroon chief a fair gilt scimitar that had once belonged to the late French king. I don't know, bro. That's kind of crazy. I mean, Maroons in most parts of America also found themselves dealing with Native Americans. And then this will go into that, but I'm not talking about that right now. That's going to be for another thing. But let me see. There is something else here about these pirates, yo. On what there was something else that they did, and I can't remember it off my head. Pirates. You know, the settlement was that between Maroons and the Spanish territories and the pirates. Okay. Yep, for 3 centuries, beginning in the early 1500s, there were Maroons who fought alongside pirates in their naval battles, guided them in their raids on major cities, and participated with them in widespread illicit international trade. We know that some Maroons rose to high in the pirate ranks. For example, the Cuban runaway Diego Grillo became captain Diguello, serving as an officer under the notorious Dutchman Cornelius Joel. So yeah, man, Vasa, there's a lot of stuff about these guys running around here. First line of Indian pirates, and that the most great maroon killers were established. Blah 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 blah. All right, I'll stop that. So I guess that answers that, or adds on to you about that. You said this is how we get the Seminole. Yeah, it's possible. Yeah. Yep. Drake did use that. So any other questions about the Zong rebellion and the Africans in the diaspora in the Indian Ocean slave trade? No more questions about that. Y'all want that smoke. Y'all want that American history. Y'all like, yo, man, get out of that. They said, get out of Africa, yo. Well, I don't see no more questions in here. Confucius says China's a black land. That Jehudi crazy, yo. But yeah, man, peace, man. This was just a little quick build. I'm saying a reference point, and I just wanted people to know what's going on. You said beat up some elbows. Yeah, yeah. I got something coming. So with that, if there's no other questions, who is this? It's all real. What does that mean, brother? Swahili. Yep. Swahili. Facts. Yep. John. Yep. 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 All right. Yo, this guy here still want to talk about Squanto, yo. And with that, I say peace. I'm just gonna do a review real quick. Let me put this back on the screen so that the major points stick and hit home or what I really wanted to talk about. Let's go back. Let's go back. So let me get out of this. This is the website. You should need to get this. The Africans in the diaspora in the Indian Ocean. All right. I'm just gonna go to a page that I did not go to, and this is gonna say East African trade. So it's gonna say beginning at least in the 7th century, the inhabitants of East African coast Bantu Cushitic speaking groups created a cosmopolitan culture along the Swahili coast that was deeply involved in trade with the Indian Ocean world, and particularly the Persian Gulf. The name Swahili from the Arabic word Sahel, meaning shore, was later applied to nearly 40 trading towns, mostly concentrated in Tanzania and Kenya that developed along the coast. Persian, Arab, Indian, and Chinese merchants made their way to towns on Zanzibar and Pemba Islands, to Shenga, Manda, PT, Kenya, Somalia, using the force of the monsoon in their search for profits. The seasonal trade winds enabled them to carry goods from East Africa to South Asia. So this will talk about the Ethiopians that went there and the earliest trade, Zanzibar, Egypt, Madagascar, etc. All right. So let's go back here and cover this last part here. I spoke to you guys about this region because this dealt with the Zanj rebellion. See here, early as the 5th century, Arabs brought Africans to the southern Iraq. See that? See, during the 9th century is when when all of this stuff really starts happening. Then you see that. And this is where this individual, Ali Ibn Muhammad, the leader, and you'll see that these Africans actually took over this country and states and had it locked down for 14 years. The black people put that twerk in, put that pain in, and had this thing for 14 years until the forces reinforced them. All right. Showed you about southern Iran. Right. You can see that. See those. I talked to you about the Qajar, who were the first people with their Islamic sect who comes into West Africa. I brought you here. This is just to re-innovate this. Come on. This is dealing with India and dealing with the Gao region. So you making sure you guys come along with this. And this is right here. See, it says 1510. The Portuguese did what? Brought Central Africans from Angola, Atlantic Africans from Brazil, and East Africans from Mozambique, etc., formed both of the African presence in Gao. What was the trade? gold, salt, and other items, right? Then you see all the rest of this. You see that the Siddhas is the name of the people of African descent in India. You also see something interesting here about Sri Lanka. I might as well go into this before I end this. It says as early as the 5th century, the Abyssinians traveled to Sri Lanka and traded. So these are the people trading with them. But the Portuguese colonial state, the Dutch East India Company, this is the company here, and the British East Indian Company, all actively engaged in the Indian Ocean slave trading of Africans. So if these people have people in West Africa, they have things going on in the Americas, you can see that there is a big trade network of multiple things going back and forth, including people. All right. So here it says among the Africans taken to Sri Lanka by the Portuguese were those already living in Lisbon. So let's get this right. What do we tell you guys about Lisbon? Lisbon has Africans there, of course, already prior, because you have North Africans in that region prior before they even get there. But these specific people that they talking about are the people who are what you will refer as Latinos, which are Hispanicized Africans. Those same Latinos are the first people who, well, one of the first groups of people of African descent who come to the Americas. All right. So here you have the same thing. Among the Africans taken to Sri Lanka by the Portuguese were those already living in Lisbon, where by the late 15th century, a sizable black population had grown. Some would have joined the Portuguese crew destined for the Indian Ocean world, as sailors were increasingly in demand. So then it makes a hypothesis here on their way to the Indian Ocean, and depending on the route taken, Portuguese captains may have also picked up West Africans at Almeida. You know, that is the castle in Ghana, at the mouth of the Congo River, Niger Delta, Canary Islands, etc. By the 17th century, the Portuguese were regularly recruiting Africans to assist them in seizing or defending strategic points in the Indian Ocean, including those in Sri Lanka. In 1631, African soldiers sent from Gao rescued the Portuguese from an early defeat by the Dutch. Some 100 Kaffir soldiers from Gao joined the Portuguese captain General Dom George D. Almeida at Coltrane. Don't beat me up for messing up these Spanish names. In southern India with instruction to continue on to Sri Lanka. Meanwhile, 2,000 Kaffir soldiers stationed in Cochin were sent directly to Colombo, where they protected the Portuguese and were paid for their services, indicating that these soldiers were mercenaries. In 1638, the Portuguese Captain General Diego de Melo de Castro led an attack on Kandy in the forest hills of central Sri Lanka with a force of 300 Kaffirs. 2 years later, more than 100 Kaffir archers fought for the Portuguese against the Dutch at Gali in the south. When the Portuguese finally lost Sri Lanka to the Dutch in 1658, many Kaffirs simply switched their military service to the new rulers. Others settled in the Buddhist Kandan kingdom, which remained under local rule. The local monarch overseeing a majority of indigenous people, etc. African military powers in Sri Lanka continued to the 19th century. Joseph Fernando, an African brought to Sri Lanka from Marturius, along with some 80 other Kappas, served the Kandayan kingdom and helped fend off British incursions. In addition to being used for military purposes, Africans worked in the construction of forts. The Dutch governor, Van Gans Jr., noted in the 1670 that 4,000 Kaffirs built the fortress Colombo. Then you'll see all of these other things. Yeah. Yeah. Cultural remains in the form of the music, dance, language, and in some cases material culture are a vital part of the Afro-Sri Lankan communities. Traveling Arab dhows, Africans populated. Oh, this is a different place. I don't want to get into that. But there's Sri Lanka. So you have the Portuguese over there, all through the Indians. And this is a part of our story. the Africans in the diaspora. Let me go back here. So I hope that covers that. Yeah, thanks. I don't think I'm great. I'm okay. Black pepper is the key. Yeah. Afro-Asiatic, baby. We in here. So peace to the fam. Any other questions? Peace, Ivan. Peace, Mr. 1090. Africa's been on the Indian Ocean controlling trade from remote times. Well, I don't know how far remote is, but did just show that they were dealing with trade with China and things of that nature. Just as far as the historical record shows, these are the things that we can show unless we playing the picture game and say, look, these guys are dark skinned and they were running things. No doubt Apple Asiatic. Let me see who else is here. The Darren Taylor, yup, Virginia companies all up in there, the Kushites. Peace Saja, peace Nigel Bala, peace Decent, peace Pure Black, everybody watching up in the building. So I hope, yeah, no doubt, Mongo. I hope y'all got something from this. I went over what I re-innovated this. This is not like a long presentation to go through because like the whole genre rebellion. I just wanted to show you that there were Africans who were brought in a trade to a different place. They took over and controlled the state and had city states for 14 years. We don't hear about them. I show you Maroons in India who revolted and took over, and their culture is there. So a lot of those people are, as you saw, they're in the army, they're rulers, they running, they doing they doing the one too. But we don't hear about those individuals because, you know, we got to keep you as a slave, man. We can't show you up. We can't show you rising above to the occasion. Can't do that. But the most interesting part here I see is that the second is the show like this Dutch East Indian Company and all of these other companies that are in West Africa and the Americas are over there in India, and they're bringing people there as well as trade items. No doubt. So with that, I'll put the chat here just in case somebody want to come and they wanted to say something. Put that right here real quick. Boom. Anybody got something to add on about what I was just reading, going through? And if no one touches this, I'm gone. Cimarroons were so feared you begin to see maps of America marked as war zones before the United States. All areas were heavy Cimarron settlements establishing, becoming war zones. Yeah, you're right about that. I mean, they basically tell you straight up. They tell you that, oh, let's see what they say. I'll show it to you. Military and economic threats. Let me see. Imminent threat, special threat, fatal threat. Where is this? Do. Let me see. I like the way that this book put it. I just gotta remember where is that? Let me see. Did he use the word biggest? Let me put that in there. Big. Okay. Two. Let me put slave society in this book. Slave society. Let's see what happens. Maroons and their communities can be seen to hold a special significance. Blah. Bantu speaking and could not have belonged exclusively to any subgroup. Blah, 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 blah. Nope. Nope. I can't find it. But in that book, in that Richard Price book, He basically tells you that the Maroons were the biggest threat to the United States slave society. And then he goes on to give some examples on how they were the biggest threat to everything that was going on. Yeah, man, you gotta get the digital books so you can see. Like I read them, they and I just underline everything. So all I gotta do is go tap it in and it pop right back up. So when I'm talking to you about something like you asked me about the Maroons, I'll just go to the book, put it in 9 times out of 10. I already have it underlined. But yeah, man, I hear you, Jesus. But with that, I'm saying I'm gonna say peace. May you guys have a great day, a great Thanksgiving if you celebrate that. And power to the people, man. I am gone with the wind. Poof. Peace to all who joined. Support the movement. Cash app to God if you want to. You know the cash app is what? Rob Beezy in the building. Let me see. Yo, how's this? Wow, this thing is. They don't even want me to rock my banner, man. They don't want me to rep my banner, man. I didn't even mean to stay on for an hour. I wanted to just be here for 20 minutes and get out of here. But it happened. Hi. Hi. Support the movement. God damn it. Support the movement. Peace, city. Peace, we need Jesus. Captain America. Oh, I get a boo. Well, I get a boo, man. What I do? I ain't talk about America today, so I get a boo. Tell me why I get a boo, Captain America. Because I was talking about India, huh? I was talking about the Jean Revolt in Iraq, about the plantations they had there, the date plantations, and all these things of that nature. There's slave trade that is before the European even comes on the scene. That one that we talking about, Captain America. Well, make sure you thumb down the video, because when you thumb down the video, it kind of helps me out when you thumb the video down. You know what I'm saying? It gets the people you know, the notifications. So thumb down the video so that you can spread the word of the Africans in the diaspora. Thumb the video down. Please, Captain America, thumb the video down so I can get it out. He said, what? Yeah, man. Yo, I am King Sosa. You know what that's about, son. These dudes been watching what we've been doing over here, son. Now they want to, know what I'm saying, jump out the window and, you know, I'm not mad about it. I think it's funny. I think it's funny. It is hilarious, King Sosa. He gonna be over there talking about these black Europeans and don't go into the history of the African presence in Britain, yo. You body yourself with science, son. Yo, let me do this real quick because this is gonna be on my this is a part of my thing, but I'm just gonna do this real quick. So it's not gonna start where I'm gonna start at, but I'm just gonna put this here. This is funny. I find this shit hilarious. I find it ultimately hilarious. But let's go. Um nah, this one. Okay, let's show the screen, y'all. Let's show the screen. Okay, we know that Britain is an island, right? Ah, man, they just did me dirty, yo. I got something for you. How you do this thing? No, not that. Site permissions. What is it? Okay, I gotta go to another one. They try to shit on me. I grabbed this one. Yeah, shit on me now. Okay, so when you're dealing with Britain, Britain has as an island, right? And it's dealing with Ireland and all those other little things that's around it. So there's multiple hominins found there. But what we want to deal with is dealing with us, what you was called atomically right man, right? So what it say here, man? First modern British had dark to black skin. Cheddarman DNA analysis reveals. What did the DNA analysis reveal? What was on the mother side? What was on the father side? What was on it? It was initially assumed that Cheddarman had pale skin and fair hair. This is what they was teaching, that the Europeans that were there, yes, nope, it's not true. But this DNA paints a different picture, strongly suggesting he had blue eyes, very dark brown to dark complexion, and dark curly hair. The discovery shows that genes for lighter skin became widespread in European populations far later than originally thought. So I'm not gonna go too much into this, but I'm just gonna say this, right? When you look at the DNA of this person, it's gonna tell you what it's a sister of the haplogroup that it belongs to, right? And it's gonna tell you that he's a part of a hunter-gatherer group, right? And then they're gonna show you these hunter-gatherer groups and the DNA that they found from people that is basically in the same time period or a little before. And these hunter-gatherers are black. They are dark. This white light skin and all this other stuff. This comes around 8,000. From I'm gonna give it from 8 to 6,000 years ago apart there. Those are farmers, and those farmers come from the Near East. They basically are coming from Asia, and they come over there. Introduce the Neolithic period where hunter gatherers are replaced by the new mode of living. With that being said, there is a historical documents of the African presence in these places, but you will find that out later when we talk about the African presence in the actual place. But here's what it says. The results pointed to a Middle Eastern origin of Cheddar Man, suggesting his ancestors would have left Africa, moved into Middle East, and later headed west in Europe before eventually crossing the ancient land bridge called Dodger Land, which connected Britain to continental Europe. Today, about 10% of white British ancestry can be linked to the ancient population. Right? So, with that being said, there's a lot of things to uncover with this when you deal with science. You now want to know what is the genes responsible for dark skin. When did these people travel here? What does the ancient DNA tell us? Are they just black Europeans? Or did they originally come from Africa? Who's the Grimaldi man? Hmm? Who's these people? Can these people genetic traits still be found? Yeah, science kills these dudes, man. You'll go over there showing pictures and showing stuff that you don't really, that you all got it all mixed up and messed up. Yeah, it's kind of funny. Yeah, it's kind of funny, yo. It's kind of hilarious. Yeah, I'll be going all around the world, son. Anatomically modern human. Yeah, yes, all people do come from Africa, but there's different mutations that take place that basically separates them from those people, which is why they will call them non-African, meaning non-African mutations. All humans, all these mutations of us, of the AMH, happened in Africa. These new traits and stuff happen later. But when I get to the African presence in Britain, we'll talk about it. And we'll talk about the fallacies and the picture games, the people playing with more pictures and think that those heads represent free people when they don't. Showing pictures of people playing trumpets, not knowing the history behind them and who they are. Lying about specific passages that's in books and putting it on the page. Ooh, I'm gonna, as Unc said, I'm gonna unpack something on that ass. You're in trouble for doing that, buddy. posting books and the fucking posting books and the thing ain't in a book. Yeah, we gonna talk about that. We gonna talk all about it. But you know, with that, let's say, yeah. That is a tricky one. That's tricky. Eurasian is not white past 6,000 years. That's a little tricky because they give the date of these farmers. And them farmers are there. I think they called the Yamani or the Yamani or something like that. I don't know how to pronounce it. But they give a date like 8,000. And they say that that's where this mutation came from. But science has traced that mutation. They traced that mutation where? It's in South Africa. It was already there. It just wasn't turned on. The gene wasn't on. And then you have environmental pressures that are responsible for also those things. But, you know, I think it's funny. It's hilarious. Let me put the link in here. Maybe Uncle West wants to join in. Let's see if the brother wants to join. Never seen him in the chat before, but he's here. Let's see if he joins in. Yeah, I am King Sosa, but you got it on point, yo. These dudes, they be stealing. They watching what we doing over here on MVK. They watching. They see what we doing over here. We don't need you, bro. We do it. We do it for the people. I think it's hilarious. Nope. No, Unc, you don't want to jump in the chat. No jumpers. Going once. Going twice. Going 3 times. Nope. Nope. Well, with that being said, nah, I'm not coming back today. Tomorrow, you know, it's Thanksgiving. I got to go see my mama. I think I might come on. I might come on Friday, and then on the 30th, I'm saying it might be a wrap for me, man, because I got school 3 days a week, and that's gonna be over, bro. Because this is, you know what I mean, to sit down and go through information, and take stuff, and do presentations. That take time, man. You said I go buy the books, though. Yeah, definitely go buy the books. So no more questions on the Jean Rebellion and the African presence there. None. Okay. Yo, peace to the people. Peace to everybody. Thurman. Peace to my big bro Jehudi, if he's still there. Afro-Asiatic. I don't know which one you are, but there's a bunch of them. Yeah, sanitize and mask up. Fact. Do a video on Umoja. All right. Peace. I'm going.